Meet 24-year-old Jill, or as she was known in the U.S. research laboratory where she was born, number 1555. A shy, sweet-faced chimpanzee with soulful eyes, more human, certainly more humane, than human eyes. And here's animal lover Sue Perkins, not shy, but pretty soulful as TV presenters go. Meeting her for the first time, Perkins squats down to make herself smaller. Extends a submissive hand. Now alpha male Pierre, who, we are later assured, has the heart of a teddy bear, is spitting at her in an awesome territorial display. What does Jill do? A chimp used for hepatitis C research since she was 2 years old, whose medical records run to more than 250 pages, alarm barks to warn Sue. After everything she has endured, the great ape tries to protect the human stranger. They're a very forgiving species, a vet says in Sue Perkins and the Chimp Sanctuary, BBC 2, 9 p.m., to which Perkins replies, "That makes it worse." Welcome to Chimp Haven, a sanctuary for more than 200 retired chimpanzees in rural Louisiana and a repository of stories to make any human heart tenderized by an excess of festivities and Blue Planet 2 rewatches swell over and over again. Take 40-year-old Cotton, infected with the chimp form of HIV in the lab, who now has AIDS. Staff had to fight to get the antiretrovirals he needs to survive, despite the decades he gave in search of a cure. "This makes me furious," says Perkins as she watches Cotton being anesthetized and holds his big, strong hand, or ex-pet Henry, who spent 15 years locked in a garage and can usually be found atop a pole, wrapped in a security blanket. Like many of the retirees, he simply has no idea how to be a chimp. The point of Chimp Haven is to teach them to be the next best thing to the wild, to let them climb trees for the first time in their lives. Medical testing on our closest living relatives, we share 99% of our DNA, only ended in the US in 2015. It was banned in the UK in the 90s. Before that, we subjected chimpanzees to experimentation in search of cures for diseases for almost a century. As Perkins approaches Chimp Haven and wells up at the sight of the signage, by the time she had donned personal protective equipment, I was crying too. She poses the ethical questions of what we did to them, what sacrifices they made for us and, on balance, whether it was worth it. This being a program about chimps and Perkins, there is also some prating about. At one point, Perkins dresses up as a giant banana and plays a steel drum. She meets the enrichment team, who provide the chimps with toys, feeding devices to stimulate their brains, and DVDs. Pierre's favorite is apparently Pride and Prejudice. Miss Congeniality 2 is less popular. Later, though, Perkins watches distressing footage from the lab where Jill lived, witnesses the appalling conditions in which chimpanzees were routinely kept, and gets angry. Is furthering the health of mankind and that of animals mutually exclusive? She asks when she visits the National Institute of Health in Washington, D.C. Her answer is that it shouldn't have to be. There is never any medical justification for cruelty. The overarching, possibly overly anthropomorphized, stories of the recently retired female group, including Jill, preparing to meet a male group, headed up by the spitter Pierre, for the first time. Chimps such as Pierre, who was taken from West Africa as an infant, may never have encountered a female. Everyone is nervous. In the run-up, Perkins meets the staff, many of whom started out working with chimpanzees in labs and are now dedicated to their peaceful retirement. "In my head, you're demonic," Perkins says to co-founder Amy Foltz, who worked as a laboratory research assistant in the 90s. "How dare you be so nice?" Finally, she watches the introduction of the male and female groups as the door between their two enclosures is opened for the first time. This seminal moment in the lives of 10 chimps is no less thrilling than a Hollywood finale, featuring chases, fights, tears, mine again, and one long romantic kiss. It turns out there is nothing more moving at this sentimental and sad time of year than watching two retired laboratory chimps